Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Turnbull, and I'm here from ROI today to talk to you about bring your own device initiatives. Before we start, just like to give you a few heads up. At the end of the webinar today, I'm happy to answer any questions. If you would like to submit any questions, please use the control panel on the GoToWebinar application, which you should see on the right-hand side of your screen. And once we get to the end of the webinar, I'll try and answer any questions that you have. Okay. I'm just going to start the presentation now. Okay, so hopefully you can all see me and hear me clearly. Well, ROI a number of years ago started dabbling in the mobile printing space, and really this was the start of a lot of bring your own device initiatives at all types of organisations, particularly in education and in government. But increasingly nowadays we're looking at a wide variety of devices as organisations adopt these initiatives to reduce costs within their business. But from a printing perspective and a print management perspective, there's a number of challenges that we have, not only providing access to the printing equipment, but also ensuring security and confidentiality within the organisations. It's not just phones that are coming into the workplace now, all different types of mobile devices, including tablets and laptops. We shouldn't forget that laptops are considered a mobile device. And increasingly within a number of sectors, we're seeing the rise of the Chromebook as a cost-effective device. So we've looked at all these various options at ROI, and we've come up with some ways to help you. Traditionally, ROI Print Manager is a server-based product. It is installed on the customer network, and we provide access through print drivers for users to submit jobs. We also have a desktop agent which provides additional functionality such as user messaging, and it also helps us track print usage that is not being processed through the ROI server, such as direct IP printing and local printing. But when employees are bringing in their own devices, it's not always appropriate for us to deploy software on these devices. So we've got a number of options by which we can not only provide access to printing equipment for these people on their own devices, but we can also control it more effectively. And that's really what we're about. It's not just about providing access to print for mobile devices. It's about controlling it. It's about managing it more effectively. It's about understanding what users are actually doing. And it's about reducing costs, as ever. If you're familiar with ROI, you're no doubt aware that it's now available in a modular deployment. The software itself contains all the modules that are available for end customers. These include the print and copy usage tracking, rules-based printing, cost recovery, user authentication and single sign-on at smart MFPs, secure print release, so you can roam about an organization and release jobs that you've held on your own personal queue as a user. You can do that at the control panel of MFPs using our embedded apps, or you can use our mobile app to do that at any print device on the network. They also offer a range of options for mobile guest printing, which is really what I'm going to focus on today. And our latest module, which we've held a number of webinars on, is the centralized print driver management. And this enables organizations to eliminate print servers, save costs, while still having the ability to deploy drivers to literally thousands of workstations to make sure that users have access to the correct printing equipment and the correct tools for them to do their job. So from a bring your own device perspective, we're really kind of working on the assumption that we're not going to be able to deploy any software, any technology to these users' devices. However, we want to provide a secure way by which they can access the print equipment from any mobile device. So the high-level caveat we talk about here at ROI is providing access to any mobile device, any computing device, in fact, and to any print device, whether that's an MFP, a network printer, even a locally attached printer in some instances. But our whole rationale is to move that output to the most cost-effective device and help our customers do that in a number of ways. For users, there's a number of options open to them. We have our own mobile apps for iOS and Android devices. We can use driverless options, which includes email submission and web upload. We offer support for the main printing technologies of the printing platforms such as AirPrint and Google Cloud Print. And it's not just about providing access for employees. We can also provide access for guests, and even in a hospitality environment where, in the likes of conferences or hotels, people are coming in, maybe occasionally using printing equipment, but not really wanting to connect to the network or download any software. So just beginning to look at these options in a bit more detail. First of all, we have our mobile apps. Our mobile apps are very powerful. They provide more than just the ability for users to submit print jobs to the ROI environment, which once it's under the ROI control, you can begin to choose what you want the users to do as a customer, as an organization. So the mobile apps are available for iOS devices, so that's iPhones and iPads, and Android devices. The functionality is virtually the same on each device, and looks slightly different today, depending on the platform. But we allow users to submit jobs from the mobile app. They can either select to submit their print jobs directly to a specific print device, or alternatively, you can allow the users to submit them to their personal queue, and we call this the My Queue, the ROI My Queue. And that then allows users to release jobs at any print device. They can release jobs using the mobile apps, so they can wander about the organization. Wherever they are, they can see all their stored print jobs on their mobile app, and they can release them at specific print devices. The caveat being that the print device needs to actually be on the network. So that's one option for them. The other option is that they use our more advanced functionality, so they can actually log in or authenticate at an MFP, and they can use our MFP application to view all the print jobs and release them. Another function of the mobile app is the ability to authenticate in MFPs. It's not really part of the whole mobile printing experience, but this is for employees within the business that are registered within the system. Typically, we integrate to the customer's LDAP, or more commonly Active Directory, and the users authenticate at MFPs. So rather than using their ID card or typing in their user credentials on the control panel, the mobile apps from ROI also allow the users to authenticate by scanning a QR code that we publish on the device. We can also make these QR codes available on network printers which don't have the more advanced screens that we can publish information on. So there we would typically print off the QR codes and stick them on the network printers that the organization allows the users to print to using this technology. So mobile apps is an option for users that are bringing their own devices in. They can download the apps from the respective app stores or Google Play, and they log in to the app using their employee credentials or network user ID and password. Also, an option for users, increasingly with the rise of Chromebooks within businesses, is using Google Cloud Print. Now, the majority of Chromebooks, there are ways around it, but the easiest way to print from a Chromebook is to use Google Cloud Print. It's fairly easy and fairly straightforward. However, Google Cloud Print, as you no doubt are aware, does not allow you to track what users are actually doing. It facilitates the printing process. With ROI's integration to Google Cloud Print, we can not only track what users are doing, but we can begin to capture and take control of that output. So by publishing our MyQ to the Google Cloud Print as a Google Cloud Print printer, users can actually submit jobs or documents from their Chromebooks directly into their personal queue, which again, they can release at supported MFPs or via the mobile app. Another benefit of using ROI within a Google Cloud Print environment is that we can also begin to apply rules and policies to users. So again, it's all about providing access to the printing equipment, but also beginning to take control of that output in line with the organizational print policies or rules. And at the end of the day, we know exactly what the users are doing and what they're printing, and then we can figure out why they're printing that, and then begin to implement cost-saving strategies for the business to be able to reduce that output. For example, they might want to control color and prevent users from printing emails or internet output in color. The integration to Google Cloud Print is fairly straightforward. We simply publish via the customer's account to the Google Cloud Print account, and then any print device that's under the control of ROI can be made to be a Google Cloud Print device. And this includes legacy devices. A lot of the printers and MFP nowadays tend to have inbuilt Google Cloud Print support, which basically means that users can connect directly to them. Sometimes that's not the best strategy if you're looking to understand what your users are doing and control what they're actually doing. So we typically recommend switching that functionality off at the print device and enabling the Google Cloud Print access through ROI. And that way, we're able to track what the users are doing, provide that meaningful management information through a wide range of usage reports, and also offer the other features that ROI delivers to help customers reduce and control their output costs. But what if your users don't want to have any software loaded on their own devices, and they're not utilizing something like AirPrint or Google Cloud Print? What other options do we have available to us? Well, we actually have two options which we tend to band under the heading driverless printing options, because we're not forcing the user or requiring the user to use any sort of application on their device or any print driver per se. And these are email printing and web printing. Email printing simply means that we can provide the users with an email address. The email address can be assigned to the MyQ, so it would be one email address for all users. Alternatively, if the organization wants, you can assign an email address to specific printers so that users can print directly to that print device if they have permissions to do so. So when the user submits their email, they might have one or more attachments that the ROI would basically rip out. We would interrogate that attachment, figure out what format it is and what the properties and attributes of the job are, and then apply any rules or policies that the organization might have put in place, and then make that document available to the user via their MyQueue to release, or we would send that document down to the specific print device. Email printing is typically the method that we recommend in a guest printing environment also, because we can actually have an anonymous user mode. So therefore guests can send their jobs to a specific email address. We can then reply to them with an email that would instruct them on what they do. We can even offer them a PIN for that email, so that they would walk up to a specific print device that you've allocated for guest printing, and they would type in their PIN, and their job would be released. So it's a form of pool printing or secure print release, but using PINs, and that is supported on the majority of MFPs and a lot of network printers these days. Alternatively, they can use the full-blown ROI pool print or secure release functionality. So email printing offers a lot of advantages for both workers and employees within an organization or guests. And with email, obviously, you don't necessarily need to be on the network. You can be out in the field somewhere, literally, and submit end jobs that you want printed back at the office so you can collect them later. ROI has a number of key features, such as we support multiple attachments. You may be familiar with email printing from some other products. Typically, it's one attachment per email. We support multiple attachments. We can also validate the users against LDAP, so therefore we can prevent the abuse of the system. So if some rogue element gets a hold of the email address, they could bombard that with documents to tie up the system. So we have various levels of security that we can apply to that to prevent that happening. Web print, on the other hand, allows users to upload documents from a web browser. That doesn't necessarily be on the network. It can be a secure site that's available anywhere. This is an example of the screen that the users would see if they connect to our web upload page. As I said, this can be a secure site, so you can force the user to authenticate first of all before they get access to this information, or you can open it to, for example, employees within the network, within the firewalls. Here, users simply select the documents, they browse for the documents in their local directories, they upload the documents. Again, these documents can be uploaded either to the MyQueue, so that they can release the jobs anywhere, or the target device could be a specific printer or MFP that they're printing directly to. With both the email and the web upload options, users obviously do not need to download any software. They're just accessing the system remotely, as it were. So as I said, ROI is not just about providing access to printing from mobile devices. It's a lot more than that. Our value proposition really is about understanding or helping our customers understand what's actually going on. So whatever method users take to submit their print jobs, whether it's email, whether it's a web upload, whether it's using one of our mobile apps, we're able to track what they're doing, and we provide fairly comprehensive reporting and details on what's actually happening within the customer site. Organizations can report on specific users, they can report on groups of users, they can report on cost centers, they can report on print devices. The options are actually limitless in terms of the information. And the level of detail that we provide goes right down to the job attribute level. So we can find out what applications users are printing, how many pages, whether it's color, mono, simplex, duplex. So a lot of very detailed information there. These reports can be viewed online. The screen that you see here is the administrator's view of the reporting. As you can see, there's a lot of online reports that they can see. But we can also schedule reports. So administrators can set up distribution groups. It might be the heads of the departments in an educational environment. It might be the teachers, for example, they're wanting to see what their students are printing. So we can set up email distribution. We can send the documents out as static PDF documents, or we can generate the data as Excel files so that users can manipulate and analyze the data. We can also output the data as XML or CSV if the customer wants to import that data into a third-party application, which is typically used for billing purposes. And once we're capturing the documents, the print jobs from the user, we can begin to apply rules. So whilst you might allow users to print anything from their mobile devices, you might want to put certain restrictions on what they're actually printing. You might want to put in some color control, for example, like I mentioned earlier. A lot of people tend to print out emails. Well, if you want to allow them to do that, you can, but you might choose to set up a rule that says that email printing is always going to be in mono, and is always going to be in duplex, and is only going to be on certain devices that are more cost effective within the organization for that. So again, we can apply all the same rules and quotas, for that matter, to any output that we receive from any mobile devices or through the driverless printing options here. Same way as we can do if the users were accessing the system from their desktop within the network. Our quota management provides quotas by cost, so you can begin to attribute cost to jobs and give users a cost quota. So when they've spent too much money, you can stop them printing or make it difficult for them to get an update to their quota. Alternatively, you can use a click model or a page model or a color model. So you begin to give users, for example, a quota for color so that they can be sensible about what they're printing in color versus mono. Again, you can apply quotas to individual users, groups, projects, print devices. The options are fairly extensive within ROI. So as I said before, our mobile apps don't just allow users to print from a mobile device, they also have a lot of interesting features. One of these is the ability to authenticate from a mobile app. So if you can see here, we're scanning a QR code. If you've got very good eyesight, unlike myself, you'll be able to see here that we're scanning a QR code that's actually published on the control panel of an MFP. That technology allows us to identify where the user is, who the user is, and which device they want to release their print jobs at. So once the users have submitted their jobs from any of the methods that we've spoken about previously, they have the ability to release them if they're using their personal MyQ. And here's an example of what they might see. They might have, in this example, 3 jobs stored on their MyQ. They can choose to release one or all of these jobs. They can choose to retain the jobs in their queue after printing. It might be a form or a letter that they print on a regular basis. And they can choose to print it at any print device on the network that's under the control of ROI. So we're offering a lot of flexibility here. And if the organization is actually using the full-blown ROI solution, or certainly the secure print release on their MFPs, they see a similar list of jobs that they can access from the MFP. So whilst the job originated from a mobile device, maybe even outside the network, it's still available within the organization, within the network to release at a device. So Just in summary, really, ROI has a range of functionality that not only help bring your own device initiatives, but they offer an awful lot of value in controlling and understanding what users are doing from their mobile devices, from their personal devices that you're allowing them to use as part of their daily work. That we support any device on any platform, so whether it's a phone, a smartphone, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a workstation, whether it's Mac, whether it's Windows, whether it's Linux, whether it's iOS, whether it's Android, it doesn't really matter to ROI. We support all these different devices and all these platforms. Our mobile apps are very powerful. They do more than just help users to submit jobs, but also offer kind of productive and security functionality. We support protocols such as Google Cloud Print, which is very, very important for Chromebooks. It's the main method by which Chromebooks are able to print. So we add value to that, and as well as AirPrint. We have some driverless printing options, which we touched on, email printing and web upload. And once we've got the documents within our environments, we're able to track all the print and copy usage. We're able to apply rules, apply quotas, and offer the advanced functionality that the ROI has for secure print release and authentication. Well, hopefully that was informative to you. Hopefully you learned something new, learned something of value. I'm just going to see if there's any questions here. I've got one question here. Will this app allow copiers with authentication to print? Yes, I touched on this point a couple of times in the presentation. The mobile application simply allows the user to submit jobs. If you have authentication on the copiers or the MFPs, users can then authenticate using traditional methods such as ID cards, or typing in their user credentials, or even just a PIN or short code at the control panel, and they can release their jobs. Okay, well, I think that's all we have for you today. Feel free to visit the ROI website for an up-to-date list of webinars, and you should receive a copy of this, or certainly a link to the registration or the recording of this presentation in the short term. Thank you very much for your time, and speak to you soon. Cheers now, bye.